everyone. Welcome to Monday Night. A bit of housekeeping here first. Bloop. There we go.
We were on the wrong spot.
I know. Steven was like in the private chat, like, hey, for OCD, can you switch your windows? And there we go. But hey, everybody, it's Monday night. It's our weekly show. Let's talk Lorcana. We got stuff to talk about. We got announcements coming up. We got Milwaukee coming up. My question is, when are you inviting me back on stream, Judge Phil? I don't know. Soon?
Who knows?
Soon?
Every Monday is an adventure.
Let's do I have ideas. We'll do something, Phil. I have a video I'm working on with Phil too, but work on that. Anyway, Monday night. So if you're here live throughout the show, this show in particular, we're gearing towards audience questions. So if you have any questions about Lorcana, about Disney, about anything, let us know and we'll answer to the best of our ability. I'm not a lawyer or doctor or financial advisor, so don't ask me any of those questions, or you can, but
I have to give out that it's going to be pure speculation and opinion, nothing that's
right.
But like, you know what? Just as a fun segue. So Ashley was able to come up this weekend and we spent a good amount of time watching Disney Plus.
Okay.
So we watched a good amount of Gargoyles because I had never really watched a lot of Gargoyles. So I got reintroduced to all of the characters. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember all of their names. They all picked names based off of like streets and rivers, and except Goliath. He's like the main gargoyle. He was like named back in the day, but like that's their whole thing. It's like their thing with humans is, oh, well, you guys have to name everything. And I don't understand why everything has to have a name, but then, you know, as they get integrated, they just kind of pick names because that's just kind of the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those old Disney Channel shows that came on around the same time as, like, you know, the Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and the Aladdin and the Hercules animated series that I didn't really pay a lot of attention to, but the story has a lot of continuity. And for a TV show like that back in the day, like for each episode to be kind of continuous and things to continue to flow instead of like each episode being its own segmented thing, I was really impressed.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch it again. Because I do think that Steven's playing on the left. I do think that you know, the cards that we play with, all of that are it's much more fun when you understand the story and the character and they resonate with you. And I've had to do that a few times. DuckTales was one. I hadn't seen the new ones, and so I had to go back and watch that when it came out. So I got some of the characters. And Gargoyles, I think I'm gonna have to rewatch as well, because I watched it as a kid, but not continuously, and so I got like episodes.
Yeah.
So like the full narrative, I didn't really latch onto.
After watching a good bit of it, it really feels like one of those shows that if you come in like in the middle or like end of it, you genuinely can get lost and don't really know what's going on. So I guess that's like both a good and a bad thing, that they spend a lot of time building a world that if you take the time to listen to it and actually, you know, pay attention, like it's a really cool story that unfolds. But again, it's not one of those like plug and plays, like, oh, I can just hop in whenever and get it. But I don't know, like same thing as you. Like I haven't watched any DuckTales because I don't know, I just wasn't a fan when I was growing up. Kind of the same vein of Gargoyles. It's just not what I was going on.
Yeah. I don't know. Paul saying here, I've never seen it, but a lot of people say it was ahead of its time as far as serialized TV. I can see that.
It was like, so we got like 15, 20 episodes in, give or take. And no, like, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't have pegged it as a Disney show from like the content that it goes through. And some of the themings and some of the like lessons that it goes through episode by episode. It has kind of like more of a young adult feel instead of like a Disney feel, which I think is cool. Maybe that was the market they were going for at the time.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe, because they are really. This is a segue I didn't intend to or path I didn't intend to tread, but it's good. They're really kind of, as I was about to say for Chris, like they're really kind of tragic characters. And like their backstory, even just the setup during the theme song is really kind of I don't know, it's dark and tragic, and so is the show. It has this really dark Batman-y gothic feel to it. Gothic as gargoyles and all that, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, so like it really does. Like one of the first people they meet after like the first little arc is like a Tony Stark or a Batman of like New York. He's just an obscenely wealthy guy who heard the tales of the gargoyles and wanted to bring them back. So I was like, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, I'd be game for a reboot.
Oh no, like
Reboot.
after watching it, I'm surprised it hasn't gotten one. Out of all the things that have gotten reboots and things like that. And again, maybe it's just one of those demographics that maybe they felt like they hit and they're good with and they don't want to do it again. But I feel like in today's time specifically, like gargoyles would probably take off pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul here saying again, some Magic players are now interested in Lorcana because of gargoyles and the art. I'm assuming that's gargoyles and the art of the game, but it could just be gargoyles art. Both
I
are
think we
great.
have from like because we got like early whispers like deck boxes shown to us like promos, right? And we actually had I think it was it Demona that was on the side of one of the deck boxes of the official things.
She's on some of the packaging. I think that's been
Yeah,
revealed. Yeah,
yeah. So like seeing that, like I mean, she's
really
just
good.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with Fabled. A lot of the new stuff that came out, from the epics to the enchanteds, they really knocked out of the park. I'm excited to see with whispers what just what we're gonna get. I mean, just being honest, like whatever the new, I don't know, because we've talked a lot about how Ravensburger has handled the artwork for the game going forward, and it feels like every set they've just kind of like tried to one up themselves. And Fabled, they absolutely did. All of the epics look fantastic. All of the legendary choices were spot on. Like a lot of them were playable, meta relevant cards, and the iconics. I feel like they were just trying to show off and be like, "This is how cool we can make shiny stuff."
Yeah,
So going forward, like I'm curious to see like what they're going to do to up it going forward in whispers and like what the theming is going to be like, because I don't know that we had a specific theming in Fabled. um like the iconic Mickey and Minnie felt like they had a feel, but I think they were the only ones that had a throwback type vibe, if that makes sense.
I think you're right. That particular art style. Um, Yeah, so it's interesting. So we've actually discussed this before where we've kind of mused that maybe that style carries on from set to set and we see more of the Fab Five characters, or um, maybe they go a different direction. I don't know. What would you like to see?
As far as like iconics,
Would you like to see them continue with that same style and carry it forward and do like a set, or would you want to see it like different for each set? Um,
ooh, that's a really good question, actually. I don't know. So, like for me now, I think I think they should use each set as an opportunity to really lean in on the theming of the set. I think the Mickey and Minnie for the promotion and what the idea of Fabled was did that really, really well. I feel like the Mickey and Minnie having that retro throwback on like the carousel, like they're at a Disney park, really invoked that we're going back to basics. This is the beginning. This is where we started. Um, type feeling. So I think with each set they have an opportunity to do that same thing for the themings. So I personally want to see for whispers and going forward, like we can just talk whispers specifically. I would like to see something that really leans into that one. Like we haven't had a lot of context for the story so far, I don't think, but we've seen a lot of detective cards. We've seen a lot of like there's like sort of like a mystery feel to it, right? Like any the cards that we got shown earlier, a lot of them were detective centered things. So if that's the theming of the set, I want to see something like that. I don't know what that would look like right now, but I mean, as well as they hit it with Mickey and Minnie, I can only imagine how much more they could do um with that going into whispers. Like maybe there's some like incredibly prolific character that they're making into a detective Glimmer that we haven't seen be a detective yet. Or maybe even like there's another detective Mickey. Maybe like that continues to be like the theme. Maybe the iconics, if there's only two continuously going forward, they're like a pair like the Mickey and Minnie were.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Um, I like that idea. Do you think there will only be two? Do you want there to only be
Um,
two?
I don't know that I would want there to only be two. I think it would be cool if there were more chase cards. I think that there only being two kind of like solidifies the collectability and possibly like staves the price on it, which is
Mm,
good for the game and good for collectors, and like that's part of that sector. Um, I don't know, maybe for each set, like maybe two iconics is a sweet spot because we're getting a lot of epics and different rarities being shown and different kinds of cards that are now being put into the parks. Um, I don't know, maybe two for each set for iconics because they're supposed to be this rare, like hyped up find. That's where you want it to be. I don't think it would be a bad thing if there was more though.
yeah. I don't know. I agree. And the chat I think agrees with you. A lot of people saying, Steven saying, I don't want there to be 12 iconics. Um, and then a lot of people saying that they think the iconics should fit the set, and so just be emblematic of whatever set they come from, rather
Yeah.
than the stock carried forward. So I think a lot of people agreeing with your take on this.
Well, I mean,
Um,
you look at all of the enchanteds, right? From oh gosh, I want to say even from Ursula's Return, right? All of the enchanteds had that misty feel as if Ursula was looking through, a crystal ball to look at all the characters, and that was the thing. And going forward, I feel like all the enchanteds have kind of had a theme for each set.
mhm,
So if they just lean harder into that with the iconics and make them as glamorous as the Mickey and Minnie were, I think we can have a lot of innovation and a lot of things that we haven't really thought of pop up. And it just makes the cards even that much more unique with each set, right?
I agree. I agree completely. I also like Sophie Cat's take here, talking about concept alt arts. Enchanted got close, but black and white in progress images. I think so. Magic did this thing a while ago in Modern Horizons 2, where they had the like showcase frames for particular cards were concept images of a card. And so you could collect the main card and then you could get like a concept sketch version of that card. This would be super fun as an alternate like illustration rare, like an alternate. I am a big fan of, what some games are doing now with just pushing just a bunch of different, collectible type cards so that pack
Yeah.
openings are super fun. And I'd love to see, like, in addition to the epics, which feel like an illustration rare kind of, um, I'd love to see some other fun stuff pop up, like sketch cards like this. So,
So we kind of had something close to that with the cards that are in the back of packs. I think in
mhm,
set one and also into the Inklands, right? Where there was well,
mhm.
no, I think into the Inklands had
No, no, no. Yeah, rules cards.
the rules cards, but
Yeah, it was
um,
Floodborn. Floodborn had them.
that's what it was.
Yeah,
But yeah, with those sketches, and even with the Powerline artwork for this set, there were a lot of different versions of Powerline that you could see in the background. So we've gotten close to that, and I think maybe that's something they're just kind of teetering on to see what the actual interest is and see what that looks like. Um, but I'm all for more versions of cards. As someone who doesn't play with alternate versions of cards at all, I just want the base rarity so I can play the game.
yeah.
It makes it slightly more difficult for me to just buy a base amount of sealed product and get four of every card in the game. But I think that's fine if it makes the pack opening experience better. I mean, just go back to before Fabled, right? A lot of people were doom saying, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be the least bought product of Lorcana history." And now here we are, like what 4 or 5 weeks out from Whispers being released, and it's hard to find Fabled product because people are having so much fun buying it. People are having a lot of fun just drafting the game with it because this is a really draftable set.
It's
I
pack rush is
think
so
it's
good.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
think it's fun to see how wrong a lot of those people were in hindsight.
Hey, I did a video that I recorded while on vacation on my in-laws porch, the purpose of which was to say, I think this set is a home run. Not saying it's going to be a home run, but I think this set is a home run. And I got some comments. Reprint sets create feelings in people. People had strong feelings one way or another. And I don't know. I think that the naysayers were wrong, frankly.
Yeah,
Now, this set's not for everybody. There are
agree. I agree.
people out there who have been playing for a long time who don't want to open reprints, and I totally get it. So I wouldn't say that everybody that this is set for everyone, but overall, like what they did with it, with the rarities, with the pack opening experience, even with the reprints they chose, the gateway to the game that it gave newer players, I think it was great.
I've
It was
seen
great.
more new people play this set than I have in a long time, and I mean I genuinely think that was what the goal of this set was. I think it knocked it out of the park from a marketing standpoint. I think it knocked it out of the park from an accessibility standpoint, and it brought a lot of people in just because it was bringing light to a lot of those cards and characters that we've seen from sets 1 through 4 that maybe we haven't got to play with a lot in a while because of how strong the metagame had become. I'm just in general someone who's going to continue playing the game because I enjoy the mechanics of it, and I will be going to Worlds this year, so I can't stop the grind. But I mean I've enjoyed the set even from a competitive standpoint from someone who's been playing since set one. I know not everybody shares my thoughts on that, but I think this is as healthy of a meta as we should be able to expect from a rotation standpoint. Like there's some obviously powerful cards, but there's a lot of things that counters those really powerful cards. There's nothing that we can definitively say this beats everything in every circumstance, and I think that's good.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, the meta is a whole other discussion, but I will suffice it to say, unless somebody asks for more details, I agree with you. I think it is a good place. And I know there's some out there. Ed, if you're watching, like you often are Monday nights, I understand the contrarian opinion of if the meta is so wide open that you can't plan for it, that you can't tech for it, that it's just luck, like matchups wise.
Yeah,
Then I understand that point.
and I
Um,
don't disagree with that. Just to just to say
right.
that.
Fair. But the fact that we have like 5 very viable color combinations, and then some variety within those with certain color combos there, I think is a lot of fun because it doesn't pigeonhole you into a single play style. If you're, I don't know, you want to avoid one.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And, let's not pretend like Ruby didn't absolutely get clobbered this set. It did.
Oh,
But I think Ruby went from arguably one of the best inks in the game to just getting a slap on the wrist for a set. And that's
yeah.
fine.
It's in timeout. It's in timeout for a few months.
Yeah.
You just sit over there. You think about what you did to all those aggro players. You can come back in when you understand what you've been doing to everybody. Just think
I
about
think
it.
that's fine.
Yeah. Clip that. I don't know.
Look, it's all right because next set Ruby's going to get another board wipe. I'm gonna go ahead and call it now. Ruby's gonna get another board wipe next set, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, remember Fabled when Ruby wasn't that good?
So nice.
It was so nice. I could play 4 daisies with no repercussions."
Yeah. I mean all they need to do is give Powerline just a couple bonkers songs and
Dude, the
that's
second
broken.
Powerline is able to take control of the game like Shark, I think it's like Ruby Steel. I think is like 3 cards off from being egregious,
Yeah.
and Ruby Amethyst, like always, is 1 or 2 cards off
There.
from being like tier 1. The
Yep.
only thing that's keeping Ruby Amethyst back is it doesn't have a board wipe right now. If it had a board wipe, I genuinely think it would just be another 9 more years, Ruby Amethyst.
Yep. The rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. That's fair. ABBCE asks, do you think they'd ever do an iconic that's not a character? My initial gut answer is no.
That would be my initial thought too. I think the iconics are such a statement for the set that would be really hard. It would have to be something big. It would have to be a Colors of the Wind esque type of song, or a Circle of Life esque type of song for that to get the iconic slot, I think.
Yeah. I mean, when this game is around for 30 years, I mean, it'll happen eventually, but I agree. I think I just can't think of any things that are iconic enough. Well, I mean, there's some, right? Like Glass Slipper is an pretty iconic item, or Bells, or the
Sure.
Beast Rose, like it's central to that story. And there's a few of those things. I just don't. Sword in the Stone, Like their items and stuff are out there, but I don't know. Songs maybe. There's when this question was asked, there's one place my head went immediately, but I don't think you can do it because I don't think you can do it on a sideways card frame. And that was Cinderella's Castle and Sleeping Beauty's Castle as a pair.
Ooh.
But I think you'd have to do
Location
them.
iconics. That would be neat.
I think you'd have to do them because it's like the Disney World, Disneyland like
Yeah.
homage.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you'd have to do them on a vertical card frame. You couldn't do them in a horizontal frame to like do them justice. So
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Because, I mean, like, take something like the RLS Legacy. I think they did a really good job of
That's
capturing
fair.
what was a huge, just a huge ship. And I think it conveyed that really well in the sideway. So I think it's for sure doable. They would just have to play with the borders, which Iconics already do to an extent.
Yeah, that's fair. Just getting some comments. Yeah, a lot of people saying Fable doing really well. Paul pointing out Fable just flying off the shelves.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we were in PPG and I made Top Cut, I when I was finally able to go to the prize wall, they were out of Fabled boxes for me to trade tickets into, and I was like, well, I was just late. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, some people pointing out, like Chris saying that they wanted to get more people in the game with this set, but just wasn't available. Which, yeah, I mean, it's the downside, right? It's a double-edged sword. I mean, you make a super popular set, and then you can't find it anywhere, and that's
I
that.
mean, yeah, I are we in like wave 2 of Fable? Do
I
we?
have no idea.
I don't either. I don't know if we even get official announcements for that. I think we did for set 1 when they were doing waves of set 1, but
Yeah.
Ruby Steel Powerline is the way. Just wait for Milwaukee. I don't know,
Hey,
dude.
send me the list. I want to see if you're gonna call your shot, like Babe Ruth, point to center field. Like I won't share it, but I want to know. Send me the list.
I'm not gonna say it's impossible. I mean, kind of
Yeah.
like we talked about. I think if Ruby Steel gets the matchups at once throughout the day, don't get me wrong. I think Ruby Steel in certain matchups just has the edge. I think if you run into Amber Steel and to an extent Amethyst Steel, I think you have the tools to just get there. But you just gotta hope you never run into Blurple because I will go ahead and put this out there. I think Ruby Steel in the Blurple is almost as close to a 0% matchup as you can get right now.
And unfortunately, Blurple is still about 35 to 40% of the meta, so
Yeah,
it's a gamble. But I want to see the list. Zero's voice. I want to see the list. Okay, there are questions earlier that I do want to get to eventually. I want to shift until Milwaukee. Somebody asked about what to expect there. There was another question, but I'm having fun working through some of these. This is a fun one. The cards they were printed will be in rotation till set 17. Do you think there will be an eternal card, which I'm guessing means a card that just gets reprinted every rotation, so we always see it? I don't know, like eternal. I have one in mind that if I were to put money on a particular card being reprinted again next
forever.
rotation. What do you think, Logan? And before I give my answer, there's one that I think maybe.
I think so. I think there are two that are pretty safe.
Okay.
I think Maleficent Dragon and Giant Tinkerbell are two very, very safe cards that I don't see going anywhere for the game's lifespan. They're very. Not only are they very big statement pieces for Lorcana as the game in general, I think they are good benchmarks for power level for the game in general.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like a not the right word, like a barometer, but I don't know.
No. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like,
I don't know.
it's sort of like the litmus test for
Yeah.
where
Okay.
the power level of certain things need to be. Because you look at what point in the meta Tinkerbell Giant Fairy stopped seeing a lot of play, and at what point she was really strong, and then you can see at what points in the metas Maleficent Dragon was seeing a lot of play versus when it wasn't. And even in like just before rotation, Maleficent Dragon was still seeing pieces of spot play. They're cards that have powerful effects that I think I mean, just kind of like I was saying, I think those are good benchmarks, especially for the inks that they're in, for what certain effects should cost and
Mhm.
what certain stats of characters should cost.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way, and I can see both your arguments holding water here. My answer was going to be from like a gameplay perspective, fire the cannons.
Oh,
I feel
yeah, I
like
think that's another one.
yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
that's just like the lightning bolt of Lorcana, and lightning bolt was reprinted like every set ever. Um, and it's just again to your point, it's kind of like exactly what spot removal should be, like damage-based spot removal. It's like uninkable, 1 cost, 2 damage. Like if you power creep that at all, like 1 cost, 3 damage, you completely change the dynamic of the game.
yeah.
And you make it inkable, bonkers good. So like that is like the power level of removal, of damage-based removal, like encapsulated in a card. And I don't see it. I just feel like that's an important card.
No, I agree, and we kind of even saw that with Fabled, right? When we lost Merlin Crab, we now have alternatives of combat buffing. I guess you could use that word. Um, and 2 is so much less than 3. Like in every instance, because we have Yolana, we
Yeah.
have the Jafar that does it. We now have Lilo that buffs your entire board +2, and we have learned this set that Crab was spoiling all of us at every at every point in turn. I mean, just this set. If you needed to know how important the benchmark between 3 challenger and 4 challenger is, I mean, it's astronomical. Like Madam Mim Fox in this specific meta would just, I mean, Amethyst is already a pretty powerful ink at the moment, but with Mim Fox, I think it would be undisputed, like tier 1.
Yeah. Yep. I think you are right. Hi, J-Bomb, and other people showing up here. If you're just showing up, we're just talking about we're answering audience questions tonight. We do not have any guests lined up right now, but who knows? We make calls on the fly sometimes. But we're here answering your questions tonight, talking about Fabled and all things, Whispers of the Well, and things coming up in Milwaukee and all that. So ask your questions if you're here tonight. Speaking of questions, well, one, my wife has a playset of RLS Legacy for a reason.
I
Okay,
look,
noted.
so I'm not gonna lie. Treasure Planet is in my top 3 favorite Disney movies.
Yeah.
When the Jim Hawkins and RLS Legacy came out at the same time, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna play forever. And then turns out it's just a little too slow. I want so badly for RLS Legacy to be one of those cards that I can just slap into any Ruby deck and just make it work. But sadly, my dreams were dashed.
It's
But
hey, one day,
maybe one day.
one day. And Infinity is a thing. Chicano had asked, do we think sideboard would be good or bad for Lorcana?
So this I think this is a really interesting topic.
Okay.
My opinion is no.
Okay.
I don't want sideboards. The reason why is because of the mechanics of the game. We are allowed to build our decks in such a way that we have tech cards for specific situations. This is kind of also going back to my World of Warcraft TCG experiences and time in competitive play. There are, because the game has cards that are inkable and non-inkable, it's often fairly difficult for Lorcana players to get truly resource locked. Obviously, there are going to be times where even if you're running 7 uninkables in your deck, you're just going to draw those 7 uninks and in the wrong order in the wrong time, and that's going to happen. But I think because we have 60 card decks and because we have the building freedom, like 60 cards for a deck, if you put it into other card game metrics, it's just a lot of real estate that we're having to fill, and you can fill it with consistency and can be a clean 2-liner like our friend Ed tends to do when he goes to um, build extremely polarizing lists that he feels attack certain things. Or we can go the opposite route where you have a lot of 2-ofs and 1-ofs. I don't think sideboarding would necessarily. I think sideboarding would change the way the game is played in a negative standpoint because, like we've talked a lot about, before you go to an event, it's already started the 2 or 3 weeks before when you're doing the deck building. I think that's where the real true skill of Lorcana lies. Before you even sit down to alter your first hand that you've picked up, you've chosen the 60 cards that is going to attack what you were expecting is going to be in the room. And we have the space in our decks and freedom from inkability standpoints to do that.
Yep. For those who are new to TCGs and just aren't familiar with what a sideboard is, it's basically a mechanic in other TCGs where you have an extra, usually 10 or 15 cards, which you're allowed to swap in and out of your deck between games in a match, and usually not game 1, but then game 2 and 3. And this allows you very specific, like tech-focused cards where if you run into a certain deck, you can tech in or swap in cards that are good in that particular matchup. Agree with everything you said, Logan. It would create 75 card decks you have to build. It would slow down everything, and I agree with you 100% on the game design and how it's not necessary. Yeah, 100% agree. And I can't say anything better than that, so I'm just gonna leave your answer standing. Do set 10 reveal start tomorrow? I don't know. I don't think they've said exactly what's in the Lorecast tomorrow, but I think it's safe to assume.
I think we're getting like to that break point where Whispers is. Oh man, what is the official release day for Whispers again?
It's November. It's early November, right? Like
yeah, but I'm trying to remember exactly what the days are.
I want to say the 2nd, but that's from memory. So I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong.
I'll
like
find it. I've got it in a thing. Just give me like 5 seconds and I'll find it.
I'm so far like behind on the chat right now because I'm working my way through questions. I'm just gonna have to like catch back up later. Oh my goodness, Elsa Snow Queen. I think Strength is a card that could definitely be eternal. Strength maybe.
Strength has not been eternal because it wasn't in set 1.
That's fair. But maybe I don't know. I can see this one switching. It's just so good. One Jump Ahead will never abandon me.
One Jump Ahead also might be another like safe thing. Like if that's what they want Sapphire Ramp to look like.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have different versions of it now, but you know, maybe as things get rotated and moved.
I'm way far behind here. But I just gotta shout out a few people here. Shout out to Solid Nate, Lorcana artist, who is just fantastic. So thanks for being here, Solo. Yeah, fantastic artist. You have all played with his cards. He did the Enchanted Second Star to the Right, among others. So there we go. A lot of people. Oh, I'm getting the sideboard comment in the chats. Everybody hates it. Okay, good. Moving on.
He said nobody said anything positive.
Nobody said anything positive. Okay, now I'm catching up to where we are. Number 7th and 14th, I'm assuming is store release and then wide market release.
Oh, hey, if you want, I've got images. If you want to, since we're talking about Whispers, if you want to pull up, we have official Whispers thing that were shown to us in the Lorecast. I can send those pictures over to you real quick.
Okay.
Because I forgot, but this is just a decent amount of like cool information since we're just talking about Whispers.
Yeah. The 7th is my birthday. Well, happy early birthday, and you get a Lorcana set for your birthday. How many people can say that?
Right. I got Continentals for my birthday this year, so we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah. Oh, great.
I'm looking at you, Ravensburger.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't do leaks here. We do not do leaks here.
No.
That's the thing. Like, I know, as mentioned, like, it's a polarizing thing, leaks, because people are like, well, it's out there. Why don't you talk about it? Like, I don't know. To me, we try to avoid, at least us personally, like on the Illuminators and then on the show, leaks because it's partially a respect thing. Because giant, or a lot of planning have gone into media campaigns and how things are being released and who gets to release them. So out of respect for the creators getting to release things and of the media teams behind the game, we just don't talk about them.
But these official images that I share with you, those are
they're official images. They came from the Lorecast. Like
they came from the Lorecast. These are screenshots from the Lorecast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. These are things we've seen. Boom. Okay. Let me I gotta download these. I gotta do this thing. I once like shared my screen when I was opening an image from Discord, and I showed like all of my Discord chats over on the side.
Oh no. And, that's never what you want.
No. All right, this is
I
little.
would be devastated if people saw that I was talking to Tiago for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, these are from the. Yeah, these are from the Warcast.
Yeah.
The packaging and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Do, 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 do. See, this is why. What happens when I'm not prepared? This is why. So while I'm opening this, I tried my very first time like streaming on Twitch, like independently as its own platform rather than doing the restream thing, and it was fun, but it was intimidating, and I figured out I'm not good at talking to myself, so.
You mean you've never had that thought in the middle of the day where it's like, man, talking to myself is the best conversation I've had forever?
I mean, I think that, but then I'm like, I don't want anybody to be subjected to this. You know? Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Here's what we're going to do add. Oh, goodness gracious. Add screen, entire screen. This side, share. Okay. So I'll look at my screen here while I pull up this thing. Okay.
There it goes.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so there we go. Everybody's right. So 7th pre-release, full release 14th. And yeah, this is the key art from Whispers in the Well. We saw this ages ago, but here we have it release dates, and super cool. Excited.
No, again, I mean, it just has that's Detective Mickey. So it just kind of has that, I don't know, that feel of mystery. Kind of like Ursula's Return had, where we weren't really sure what was lurking around and people were doing things. People are saying they can't hear Liam.
What'd I do?
What did you do, Liam?
Hello.
I can hear you.
All right, hold on. Weird. Oh, okay. Is this when I was like? This is probably when I was like over here.
Oh,
yeah.
When you were leaned away.
We have these dynamic mic. Or I have this dynamic mic, which it's very, very sensitive. I need to get it's a whole thing. I need to put cloud lifters on them so they pick up. It's a whole thing. But like if I'm not like on top of it, like it's a really good audio, but it doesn't work too well. So
I mean, it works fantastic, but you just got to be like right there.
Yeah, I just gotta do that thing. Okay. So then we have the packaging, which we'll look at here in a second. And we'll talk about those.
I feel like the packaging gives away some things. I don't know. I feel like, I think it was Googly. I saw him ask, we know that we're getting Whispers and Gargoyles and set in. Do you think we'll get any other new classifications with the new cards and ISPs, and what might they be? I think it's likely we're going to see something along the lines of what we saw with Reign of Jafar, where we got illusions, which was like a new tag. I'm sure with this detective type thing, because we're seeing a lot of, and I'll wait for you to. There we go. There's the image. We're seeing a lot of stuff going around with some of these characters, right? Like if you look at the Meg and the Simba on the deck box, there's a lot of just like swirl and mist or whatever that is around them. I think there's going to be something along the lines of a character classification that we haven't seen yet, along the lines of illusions, where there's going to be some sort of like synergy that we haven't seen yet. But again, that's like speculation. I think it's likely, just given how stylized those characters are, though. Because you remember, you saw, what was one of the first illusions we saw? I think one of the first ones we saw was Iago.
Might have been. We actually saw illusions like before Reign of Jafar. Like they were kind of like a few of them snuck into Arcasia's Island, if I remember correctly. So we saw a couple there, and then the rest were in. But in terms of art, like which ones we saw first, Iago might have been the first one. Giant Cobra came out, I think, in Arcasia's. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of similarities.
Yeah, it's a very specific amount of artwork and new texture that we're seeing around these characters that I would be surprised if there's not something more to that. Something another theme. Like, we have the dwarves package, and now we do have illusions and synergies with illusions and things like that. So I'd be surprised if we didn't have something along the lines of those synergies coming into Whispers.
Yeah. Well, we only have a few weeks left for these reveals, so yeah, I don't know. I can't. Here's the thing. Like I always talk about we schedule these shows wrong. Like everything comes out Tuesday morning, and so like I'm sure we're gonna get a whole bunch of news and a whole bunch of stuff tomorrow morning, and you know, we're day early. So tomorrow, I'm sure there'll be a bunch of good stuff. Everybody should tune into the Lorecast tomorrow to see it, to be one of the first people in the world to see whatever they're revealing, and yeah, hopefully we find out more about this set.
No, I absolutely I want to see more in general.
Yeah.
I'll start planning what what after Milwaukee is going to look like. It's kind of surreal thinking that Milwaukee is going to be one of the last big events for Fabled. I feel like we've only been in Fabled for a couple of weeks, and that's not been the case at all.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it does. I don't know why. I'm kind of sad to see Fables like rotate out. I don't know why.
It's been short.
Yeah,
It's
I guess
been
that's why.
much shorter than other, and I think maybe that was by design.
Yeah.
Maybe they just wanted, maybe it was just from a marketing standpoint to just try to introduce a lot of new people to the game. But for those of us who have been here for a long time, since we don't have a lot of new cards and toys to play with, they didn't want this to get like stale for us.
Hmm.
So it's been a good amount of time for new people to get in, get used to the game, and now they can put out Whispers and show us new cards and new mechanics and start really running for season 2.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I'm excited. I'll tell you that. Like, I'm excited for that, and I'm actually super excited for Winter Spell as well. Following that. Um.
I'm excited
So
for Woody and Buzz.
I don't know. I think what I love about what they've done. Sorry, tangent. Then we'll get back to some of the questions. The what I love about the new sets or new sets, because sometimes they can hit really rapidly and sometimes they can blend together. But what I think Ravensburger has done a very good job of thus far is having each set feel very different from the last. And if it's just vibe, tone, whatever, like there's a lot of differentiation. I think, when there comes a day when like two sets feel very similar in feel, like if Azurite Sea was on the back of Into the Inklands, like two adventure type sets,
Yeah.
where you're out adventuring and out in the wild and people exploring, like it would have felt kind of similar, but they're broken up by the Shimmering Skies, the Celebration set, and then we have Azurite Sea, and then we have Arcasia's Island and Rainer Jafar, and they're all very different, and I think it keeps me hyped. So
Yeah, so that was honestly that was the first thing my head went to, was the differentiation between Into the Inklands and Azurite Sea. Those felt very tonally close, but I will say they did have very distinct feels because Into the Inklands was more Floodborne heavy and was more grand adventure with things like DuckTales and Tailspin esque. It had a lot of like Indiana Jones ish type feel, whereas Azurite Sea was more piratey and like actually on the open sea type thing. So even though those felt similar, they still had very very different themes and very specific ways they were pushing artworks,
mhm.
even
Yeah,
from the Enchanteds.
yeah. Yeah, it's probably a good time to shout out to the art directors. Each set has a different like lead director for like the art style and the visuals of that set, and they've all just been knocking it out of the park. So
Yeah.
I forget what time the cast is tomorrow. Is it 11 like it usually is?
Oh,
11 tomorrow?
I have no idea. I might be able to find out though. Did they
Uh,
post on Twitter?
Somebody in the chat will tell us. Usually 10, says Steven in the chat. We will find out here shortly. Yeah. So yeah, make sure everybody tunes in tomorrow. And it's of course after the stream, like the news will be everywhere, and like publications will pick it up and content creators. But it's really cool to be among the first people to see these things live, like in the world. So definitely recommend checking it out. 10 o'clock Pacific.
10 Pacific. Okay.
Says Lorcanalu. So Paul's saying 9:30 a.m. PST. 10:30. I wonder if 9:30 is when it goes live, and then like 10 are announcements. But
Maybe
in that range.
that lead in time.
Yeah, Disney Lorcana Twitch. Check it out there live. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like so. I'm just looking back through the history of Lorecast. They tend to do it at 10 a.m. Pacific. So
Yeah.
I would bet money that it's 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow.
Hoping workers forgive me so I can watch it. Yeah. I've got a feeling mine won't be, but
I'll be getting my apartment packed up. So we'll
good
see.
background. Good
Yeah,
background.
we'll see how much time I have to actually pay attention to it.
Yeah. Shout out to Citizens of Lorcana. Recaps. Yeah. Definitely. Steven saying in the chat. Definitely check out Citizens of Lorcana. Does great recaps of the Lorecast on various social media platforms, including Twitter, so you can catch those there. Yeah. All right. I mean, that's I don't know. It's so close. I mean, we're gonna get a lot of information tomorrow. I don't know what else we can speculate about there.
Honestly, not much. Just because we haven't had a lot more told to us about Whispers, other than just the packaging and the release date. We haven't seen a lot of cards. They showed us a few detectives. I think the Nick Wilde. But I mean, other than that, we just don't have a lot of information about it.
Yeah. Naturally not asking, do you think location cards will be revisited? Like ever, or this set? Ever? Yes, of course. This set.
I think we're going to continue the trend of, because in Jafar and Arcasia's Island, we didn't get. Well, no, we had a few in Arcasia's Island.
What did we have in Arcasia's?
Owl Island was a thing in Arcasia's Island. No, that was the set before. Hold on.
Yeah, because we had Galactic Council Chamber in Arcasia's Island. I'm sorry, in Azurite Sea.
Yeah, Owl Island was at 6.
Yeah. Did we have any in Arcasia's? I don't know that we did.
You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna.
I'm using this as a brain like. Yeah, none in 7 and 8. Says production.
Yeah, literally no locations in 7 or 8. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
So, do we think we'll get So
I think it depends on how many Duel Link cards. I think the reason we haven't seen a lot of locations is because Duel Links have been taking up those slots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So interestingly, I wonder. This is probably, if we see locations again in the near future, this is probably a good set to bring them back, because like Duel Inks were a lot of the theming last set. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see many this set, because it seems to be leaning a different direction in terms of the unique qualities of this set, like a different with these yeah. So I don't know. Maybe this set. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised
if we saw more locations. Or maybe like going forward, maybe they'll pick sets of when they're really going to be focused on trying to push Duel Link synergies versus location synergies. I feel like for a while they were really just trying to show us locations were what they wanted to do, and there's always going to be the presence of locations in the whatever meta we're playing. I mean, even now we still have some pretty prevalent locations in the library or Hidden Cove, Seven Dwarves Mine. So I think we're always going to have things like that, but I don't think they're going to push locations as hard as they did for the first few sets when they were first getting introduced, when we had things like RLS Legacy and Jim Hawkins, really, and then like Tuk Tuk that allowed you to move things. Maybe when racers become more prevalent, when we see like the Lightning McQueen things, they'll have things that'll synergize with the Sugar Rush Speedways. Because I mean, again, that's another one of those combinations that it's just like 2 or 3 cards off from being incredibly consistent and super powerful. So I wouldn't be surprised when we see Lightning McQueen, because they've established that racers are a location-esque type archetype.
Mhm.
So I would be really surprised if we don't see, like a Radiator Springs type location with Lightning McQueen cards.
That would be cool. Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. It would be such a flavor foul to include new racer type cards with Pixar and no locations to go along with it, just based on what we've seen. I agree with you. Here's another question from Chris. Do we think reprints of previous cards will return in Whispers? Should I hold out hope for Diablo's return? I think yes and no. I think that moving forward, we will see in probably every set, except maybe Whispers, we'll see in every set probably a couple reprints here and there to keep cards in rotation. We had the precedent set already with Hook, Forceful Duelist, and
Yep.
Tailwagger. I think those are the only two we've seen.
Yep.
And those have alternate art, and they're brought back into the set because it makes sense thematically for the set, and they want to keep that card legal. Whispers is maybe, but on the heels of Fabled, there might have been cards that were already planned there. Maybe not. It's possible, but I wouldn't be surprised to see none in Fabled. I'm sorry, in Whispers, and then to have that trend pick up with future sets where we've got, a couple here and there with alternate artwork that are worked in to keep things legal for rotation. Because you have to, unless you're going to do the Fabled thing every year and
Which
do a big
isn't
return set.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, kind of like I've talked to a lot of people. When I played Hearthstone, when they did their first rotation, that's so the first thing they did is they took a lot of the common cards that were what we saw as the staples of this is what made this character, or this class, right? I think moving forward, that would be a safe thing they could do for any rotation season. The first set is okay, this one is a good reprint set. It's a jump off point for anybody who, because it does one of two things. It gives people who haven't been playing the game ever or for a while a good jump off point to get cards that maybe they haven't otherwise. And B, it gives them a good buffer to start off a new season and a really defined point of this is when this season starts. And you can tell just by the reprint set and the theming of this set, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. I personally would like to see that happen because when you get to a game's lifespan where somebody looks at a game and they're like, it's too daunting of a task to pick up realistically the amount
Mhm.
of cards they would want, it creates a barrier to entry that I think Ravensburger is trying to avoid.
Mhm. Yeah, and the other and the other cost here is like you want the game design team to be able to curate the meta to a degree.
Yeah,
They know everything that's coming for a while, and they will tell you that they are surprised by things that happen in the meta every time because as I think it was Steve says, or one of the game designers, I'm going to credit it Steve, but it may have been somebody else, says as soon as they release a set, like instantly there's 10 times the amount of play testing that has been done on that set than they could ever do because the number of people worldwide multiplied by whatever. So like they are surprised, but they have a general idea for what's going to be good, what's going to be bad, what combos they want to exist, what cards need to be in the meta to control other cards, whether Ursula Deceiver needs to exist to hold back cards like Be Prepared or other things. So like they can do that by bleeding a couple reprints into each set. But the problem is, if that's the only vehicle they have to keep cards legal and standard is these reprints, we're losing slots for new cards.
yeah.
And do we want, 10 to 12 to 15 cards, every set or more, 20 cards every set being reprint so that they can curate things? Or would we rather have, complete fresh sets with one or two reprints and then like this 80 card or even full reprint set every year? And the thing is, like, so then you worry about product availability, right? And you're like, okay, well, okay, I was going to say something else. I was going to say you could also do what Magic and other games used to do and do like a standalone like core set, which doesn't interfere with the standard rotation schedule. And so at some
Yeah.
point, like in the middle of the summer, in between, sets, you release the core set with reprints, etc. The downside there is logistically it's challenging. You have multiple sets going on and whatever. But if the set is mostly reprints anyway, then there's a lot of people who would be happy to skip it. It does provide that access point for new players. And even if it's not super accessible, as long as there's not like super chases in there people want, if it's mostly reprints or all reprints anyway, even if it's not as accessible as the main set, simply by having a card like reprinted, you have put it back in rotation. And even if people can't access it, they can access the old card. So I don't know. This is a whole video to explore this idea, but
No, for sure.
I don't hate the idea either.
I personally like the idea of every season we have a Fabled set that a Fable-esque set where they say, okay, this is what we're wanting the power level to look like moving forward, because it just opens up a lot of design space, right? I mean, kind of like you were saying, reprints get put in because they want certain things to be able to check other things, to have the checks and balances, to try to make the meta as balanced as you can realistically make it. Obviously, like, nothing in any competitive environment is ever going to be as perfectly balanced as you want, because balancing a game in general is hard, let alone a card game. But I would much rather them have the design space to play around and give us powerful things that we haven't seen before and answers that we haven't seen before to try to check those powerful things.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Stir step radio. I'm sorry, I
Stap
can't.
radio.
Step radio. Oh yeah, there it is. It's step radio. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, it's English. Just too. Anyway, step radio has asked a couple times about popsicle. Bring back popsicle. No.
Exist in infinity.
It's good in infinity. If they were going to bring it back from a flavor perspective, you bring it back in Winter Spell, right? Like, but
if it was going to be in any set, it's absolutely going to come in Winter Spell.
Right.
But
right?
I don't think popsicle is going to come back in core constructed. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think it had its time to shine in core constructed, and now it gets to go terrorize infinity.
There will come. As I always say, I think this game is going to be around for a bajillion years. And so, as this game lives on forever, yes, I know I'm bad at English stuff.
SR, man.
Yeah, Stap Radio. There we go. So, as this game is around forever, like there will come a point in time, like 10 years from now, when like Popsicle is going to be reprinted and all the OGs are going to freak out and cry tears of joy, and everybody's going to bust out their Tamatoas, and a whole 90% of the player base who's shown up since then is going to be like, okay, cool.
And then they realize we don't have Be Prepared or Sisu 8, and there's like, okay, we're just draw engine now. We don't have the board wipes to go with it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or Lucky Dime. We don't have that either.
Yeah, rotation's good for the game. Yeah, 100% agree rotation's good for the game. The question is how you do it. But I think we've talked through that. Reprints need new alt arts. I mean, yeah.
I absolutely agree. I think of anything, the reprints that we got in Fabled, they should have had the Hook Forceful Duelist treatment and gotten new artworks. With all of the epics and other things we got in Fabled, I'm like genuinely still so surprised that every card that got reprinted didn't get an alternate art.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the way I'd like to see it done. I will say it does add, significant challenge. It is a lot more art to approve, but I will say, like, I didn't hate it. I wish it had been done in Fabled. I will say, I think that the legendaries and some of the other cards getting a significant glow up with the new legendary style and all that, like scratches the itch a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But I do agree that alt art would have been fantastic. But I also want them to hold a high standard with the art as well. Googly says popsicles are not winter items, guys. Not everything frozen is for the winter. Sheesh. Some people like popsicles in the winter. I don't know. I'm just saying. Or maybe. Okay. But Nick Wilde went to Tundra Town to freeze the popsicles, right? So he needed to pour them in the snow to make the popsicles. So just saying the winter was critical to his business success. So there you go.
The ice and snow was absolutely part of the creation of the popsicles. So
that's right. That's right. And as Christoph highlights in Frozen very well, like his supply and demand is he ships the ice in the winter, and then in the summer when it's warm, people need the ice. Same with the popsicles. Lorcana gets hit by big winter spell. Nick Wilde sees an opportunity. He freezes a bajillion popsicles. They fix the ice problem, and all of a sudden it's hot, and he's got a bajillion popsicles that he froze en masse in the snow. I'm just saying, googly, from a flavor perspective, this would work. All right.
Just saying from a story standpoint. If you look at the lore.
I've reasoned my way into it. There we go. The judge says he'll allow it. Glimmiter's highlighting what I find funny is we find them platinum, tells me items will come back. Yeah. I think so.
I mean, like, we have items now. It doesn't mean that, like, we have I find them a platinum, and we still have Benja. We still have cards that interact with items. We still have things like Wasabi, right? Items are never going away. I just don't know that they'll be as prevalent as they are.
This is a good question. This is a good question for a long YouTube video.
I think with Fable, we're seeing collectors come out a lot more.
I think so.
But it's not only just because of Fabled. They're also doing things like the cruise line promos. They're doing things like the promos that are in the parks that you can only get exclusively there. There are the new set or the league promos that you can only get there. I think with Fabled, they've started really pushing collectability as well as playability. So I think going forward, they're only just going to compound on that, and it's just there's going to be a bigger market. There's already a huge market for collectors in general. You have people, I know J-Bomb specifically, he's trying to collect all of the Mickeys. So he's, other than the one of one World Championship Golden Mickey, J-Bomb has been trying to get. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. But he's trying to get, the different Golden Mickeys. So there are different things. And now that we have iconics, I think that's opening another can of worms of people who are going to want all of the iconics. I for sure think it's going to be balanced. The longer the game goes, just because the IP by itself and the amount of cards that you can only get from going to challenges or set championships, the longer the game goes, the more the collectability side of it is going to be coveted, and high-end collectors are really going to just have more to sink their teeth into.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're seeing a shift more towards collectability. I will say, I think the premise of this comment is correct, though. I think that the value of cards right now is driven by primarily, more by playability than collectability.
Outside of like the iconics, yeah.
So yes, there's a few cards. So one of the ways to look to kind of tell is to, I think, look at Enchanteds. And for the most part, what you see in the Enchanteds and the promos is that the price rises. No, okay. So sit back. In a TCG, the playability of a card is always going to have an impact on value. And so, for example, a great example is Cinderella, the singer, the little baby who had the Enchanted in Floodborn.
Oh yeah, the egregious one.
Yeah, the egregious one, who wasn't reprinted. But she is super collectible because it's beautiful art, princess tax, all of that, but also valuable because it played like a lot. And what happens is, the playability of the card matters in terms of value in the current meta, but then also people develop an emotional attachment to cards that they play a lot. So
Mhm.
if you were a Steel Song player and you played that card a ton, you're gonna want shiny versions of that card, and you create this emotional attachment with it. You see this happen with a variety of older enchanteds, but there are very few enchanteds whose value right now exists or is like derived primarily from collectability and not playability, at least in competitive play. But there are some examples. There are very few though. One of them is Mufasa from Shimmering Skies. That card has dropped in value, but I think it's about $250 now. It was 300, 350. But in a PSA 10, that card is pushing $500, $600. It was closer to 800 for a while.
Well,
Stitch
also
Rockstar.
it was like so that one also kind of coincided around the death of James
True,
Earl Jones. So,
true, 100%. Um,
like, not only that, but the other outside on top of it just being one of the best legendary arts that we've had.
yeah, 100% agree. And like, so that's one where the collectability does apply. Stitch Rockstar is another one. The store promo. Elsa, Spirit of Winter, is a played card, but her value derives primarily from her being like the Charizard of set one. But what you do see, especially with rotation, is that there's a lot of older cards and a lot of enchanteds which have dropped way down in value, because I don't think we're not seeing the same ratio you do as in like Pokemon, where like 25%, it's like 25% of people who buy or own Pokemon cards actually play the game.
Yeah.
The preponderance of that value is derived from collectability. Um, now,
But again, I want to say we're also looking at something that has been out for gosh, what, going on 30 years now,
yeah,
as opposed to our game. And also, while people have had I grew up with Disney nostalgia, and that's what's gotten a lot of people into the game, a lot of people grew up with Pokemon and have had access to Pokemon cards for far longer
yeah,
than people who've had access to Lorcana
right.
cards.
And it's this nostalgia cycle where you get to a certain age and like you revisit it and you revisit it with your kids and all of that. Um, so I guess what I'm saying though is I completely agree with you, Logan, and I think that there are collectors out there. I think that the value right now of the game is driven primarily by the players, which in the early game is actually a good thing,
Yeah.
because when we had huge collectors in the game who were speculators in like set one and early days of set two, for example, players couldn't get the cards and it
Mhm.
inflated the value a lot. So I think we're in a very good place with how players have been able to access the cards. But especially as new rarities are introduced and there's iconic chase cards and there's epics and things like that, and it creates this dynamic where players can still access the Bates versions of the card, but there are these chase versions out there which are beautiful. Um, and as more and more Disney fans discover the game, I think we're going to see more and more the ratio of players to pure collectors shift, and we're going to see a lot more pure collectors enter the game, and a lot of like beautiful cards that aren't necessarily played derive value simply from the fact that people want to own, an Anna Truehearted, or, Aerial Sonic Warrior, or, cards like that. So,
Oh,
um,
for sure. And like we've seen things like when they started in the parks showing off characters and showing off the artwork and really pushing like the park promos. That's just a whole new swath of people that haven't been introduced to the game ever. I mean, we've talked about how jealous I was seeing that's somebody's first interaction with Lorcana. That was their introduction to the game. And the more they have events like that, those are going to be core memories for people who haven't heard of the game before, haven't interacted with it, and now they're being introduced to, look, these are not only things you can play with, but also they're alternate arts of your favorite characters that you grew up with. And I think that's one of the strongest things that Lorcana has going for it. Not only is it a really good game mechanically, but the IP is just hands down, by far, bar none,
mhm.
one of the easiest and most marketable things they can do. Especially, I mean, in Pokemon, I don't know that they do it a lot, but you see a Pokemon and like they can change the artwork and whatever, but like when you see Pikachu, it's still Pikachu, right?
Yep.
How many versions of Cinderella before Lorcana have you seen?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like that's just I mean I just as a core memory for me, the first time I saw Cinderella Stouthearted, I was like,
Yeah.
We can change the entire everything you know about a character can be fluid in the world for Lorcana. And I think that's what is so. I think that's going to keep what's going to keep the game as far as like a longevity standpoint, because you're never going to run out of ways that you can tweak a character from the Storyborn to Floodborn to Dreamborn versions of them.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. And like Ariel fans, who are just hardcore Disney Ariel fans, when they discover the game, they will want versions of Ariel Sonic Warrior, right? Because you're never going to see her like that anywhere else in armor, with this cool ability and this awesome spear and all of that. Cinderella Stoutheart, another great example. I guess I agree with your points completely. And I'm thinking that we have so much further to go in terms of attracting the bigger Disney collectors or even card collectors over to the game.
Yeah.
And we'll see significant value shift over time where, like, again, I'm going to go back. One of my barometers, like cards that I keep an eye on, is the Anna Truehearted card from Ursula's Return. Sonic Warrior is another one. But these are as you highlight, or the Snow White, in armor. These are like alternate versions of Disney princesses, which are unique to Lorcana, and that, in my mind, should derive more value from their collectability. Even if they're not played, kind of like, and Anna's sitting at like a $35 or $40 enchanted right now. Maybe she's gone up a little bit, even with a reprint. And I'm surprised she's not more. But that's one of the ones that I don't know, kind of keeping an eye on. But it's super fun.
We always say, and you touched on it, cards have their playability have a lot of driving factor on their cost. But I feel like all of the princess cards have just an inherent princess Disney tax attached to them that will never really go away. And I think as long as that aspect of the game exists, we're always going to be in a good spot from a competitive to casual metric, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not using casual as like a negative or derogatory, but a casual is somebody who just appreciates the artwork and maybe doesn't want to play the game, but kind of like we touched on, you can't get a version of this character in any other medium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's something that, even like I touched on, there's never going to be a shortage of ways that we can tweak these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can run out of ideas as far as that goes.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. More Tinkerbell Giant Fairy-esque, like, reimagination of characters. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting topic worth discussing, and I'd love to see, like, I don't know. I need to do a poll. That's what I need to do. I need to do a big poll, and put out there to find, like, the ratio of true collectors to players and most people are both, right? Like, most people want, except for you, Logan, you're just a player, right?
Yeah. I just like playing the game because I'm a nerd.
Yeah. Most people are both. Like this cat here, who is both player and, like, shiny obsessed.
Tamatoa in real life.
Yeah, Tamato in real life. Frequenting. I'm both. Yeah, most people are both. But anyway, last thought on this, because we could just for out. Like, this came out 2 weeks ago. This is Disney Chrome.
What is really Disney Chrome?
Disney Chrome is a Topps product. Topps mostly does sports cards, but basically what they've done here is do like Disney cards or sports cards as Disney characters. And it's interesting. They've replicated like oh yeah, there we go. They've replicated the sports card thing that they do with serialized cards and all of that. And if you're not familiar with sports cards, it's a whole thing with, like, inserts and numbered cards and one of ones, and it's a whole thing. You don't need to understand the whole thing, but basically this is Topps saying we're going to do sports cards but with Disney characters. And people are spending, sports card collectors, are spending crazy amounts of money on this product. And I look at it, and I wanted to kind of see what it was about, so I clearly have some.
You clearly bought some packs.
I did. At Legends Expo is where I bought the preponderance of them up in Philadelphia. There were boxes sitting there, and I was curious. But I'm watching this product, and I'm like, people are buying this. People are looking for these Disney cards, and I'm like, I'm willing to bet that the preponderance of those are sports card collectors. And I'm like, why not? Like, are you in Lorcana? Why not Lorcana? And I think it's, again, a matter of time, especially with Iconics and things like that coming out, that people discover the wider collector community, Disney fans, Disney collectors, sports card collectors, discover Lorcana and its beautiful art and its collectability, and are here just for the vibes. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think it's also that know your audience type thing, right? That type of card would do well with sports cards collectors because inherently there's not a game being played with those cards. It's just specifically for the artwork and possibly what the value of that card might be based off of. You can never bet against Disney IPs, honestly. Like if you get in the ground floor of it, like any Disney marketable thing that's been made, you're probably in the long run going to be making a good investment in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
The thing that Lorcana has that I think kind of hides itself away from people who primarily do sports card is because there's primarily just a game being played, and we still do live in a world where people look at things like Pokemon, Magic, etc., as successful as those are, and as much money is pumped behind those as far as just artwork, since different versions and foils and whatever. People inherently, it's for the nerds. We'll leave it for them, right? So I still feel like there's that barrier for some people in the greater grand scheme of things. Um, but the longer the game goes, I think it's going to be harder for anyone to. Because even if people don't play Magic, they've heard of Magic. Even if people don't
Yep.
play Pokemon, they've heard of Pokemon.
Yep.
I feel like Lorcana has the power with the IP behind it that it can become, oh, even if I don't play Lorcana, I've heard of Lorcana. Oh, it's the Disney thing that's like Pokemon, right?
Yeah. And it would not take much to get it into the wider zeitgeist. I mean, can you imagine a Disney Lorcana show, like streaming
Yeah.
on Disney Plus, similar to what Arcane did with League of Legends, except everybody loved Arcane, and then how many people went and picked up League of Legends? Like none, But I love the show. It's fantastic. So you could do that. I mean, you're already seeing, Disney like lean into it with, the
We're
experience, the
we're seeing
collector's
real
quest.
marketing at the parks now, which is like
Yeah.
insane. No, so like actually to that point, the reason why I'm gonna say when you look at Pokemon, let's just say that the games and well, just not the card game, but like the video games themselves. I feel like those are the things kids remember more than the card game because the show itself pushed that kind of gameplay. But then you look at something like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? The entire show was the card game.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people picked up and played Yu-Gi-Oh because they wanted to be Yugi, they wanted to be Kaiba, they wanted to be Pegasus, right? I feel like Lorcana is building a world with the Great
Mhm.
Illuminary. They could do something similar where these original characters that they've made in the Great Illuminary that we see helping them, there could be a real show behind it, and they could do a Yu-Gi-Oh esque type thing where these people, are original characters. Oh well, these are the glimmers, and this is how we manifest the glimmers within the world with these cards, and this is how we get them to come help us do XYZ. And maybe maybe they can put gameplay elements behind it. I feel like it's a little bit more difficult because I don't know. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh is like such a specific and easy thing to put into like a show format that even today there are new versions of um Yu-Gi-Oh being made. But I feel like there's a lot of space where you could do something like that in a children's show with the Disney Lorcana if Disney itself latches onto it like they are at the parks. There's a lot of space that it would be pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And again, I agree with your point about the world. Like, um, it's very, very brilliant because they didn't have to do this to
No,
create a brand new world with lore and all of that and a story behind it because, um, it opens up, as you said, this avenue to all sorts of other ways to explore the world. And what they did with the Collector's Quest, where they actually like took you into Lorcana and you were in like the Great Illuminary and there was a lore book and you had an Illumineer with an Incaster, like was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And you could
I'm
take
forever
that.
jealous of those people.
I know. And you could take it and do something similar without because the collection quest was a way to introduce you to the cards in the game as well and to give you packs. You could do a permanent show though where um, you experience the world of Lorcana on a ride, or you walk through, or something like that. And then on the back end, you could buy cards, and maybe you have like Cinderella Stouthearted in there, and you get to see Cinderella in her
Oh,
armor.
can you
Or you
imagine?
have,
Can you imagine?
Smart Gaston hamming it up in front of a chalkboard, like interacting with you, like explaining his plan.
Or even just a Mickey that you haven't, just a version of Mickey, right? That
Yeah,
is,
Sorcerer Mickey, Wayward Sorcerer.
yeah, that's,
Um,
well, specific to the game.
yeah,
Um,
the purple Wayward Sorcerer, the
yeah,
bronze one.
there's so many.
Um,
God, I don't envy the people that would like have to wear those costumes, because I'm sure a lot of them would be really even more laborious than what the current character costumes are. But man, if there were like a Pooh Honey Wizard,
yeah.
even just like an animatronic of some of them, right? Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
just a simple like movable animatronic of some of the bigger ones, I think that would go miles.
Honey Wizard, man.
Yeah,
And then at the end, so you could either, give people like a park version of Honey Wizard in this example, like give people a park version of Honey Wizard when they do the ride. You'd have to have a lot of cards because it would just be a normal attraction. Or, at the end, in the store, you have a promo version, or you have packs you can buy to try to get those cards. But even just, without even giving them promo cards, but even just having people experience the world of Lorcana in the parks, at an attraction like that would be fascinating. And I think would be crazy. Um, but anyway,
no, I
right.
just, the more Disney really puts their power, I mean, just marketing power behind it, I it just gives me a lot more. Not that I ever thought that Lorcana wasn't going to succeed. Just from the first time I played the game, I knew that it was strong enough on its own to keep lasting. But the more Disney actually puts their weight behind it, it's just going to continue to grow in the public eye. We're already seeing commercials come out. We're already seeing the things like the collection quests happen. And when new sets come out, you already have lines that form at the parks that go, well past back to the parking lots. So with a little bit more mainstream marketing, I think Lorcana is just kind of on the precipice always of being just mainstream blow up. And Ravensburger is trying to teeter that line between how do we maintain the production levels and quality that we want while the demand just continuously rises.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And that is the challenge. And as much flack as the team gets for various decisions and issues over time, whether it's product availability or certain cards being printed or rotate or whatever, um, the way that they have navigated building the base so far has been done very well. Because too little demand is a problem. Too much demand can
It's
be a
also a
problem.
problem.
And so you have to be careful about how you because pallets and pallets and pallets of products sitting in warehouses that distributors can't move is also very bad. So if you if there's too much demand, then you have to print too much. It's a whole thing. But anyway,
Welcome to the
um,
world of business logistics.
yeah. Couple of questions. Somebody's asked about this question has been brought up by like numerous people. Is Utopia 2 movie promos possible? Possible?
I think it would
Moana was a
be.
thing.
I think it would be. Yeah, they did that with Moana, right? I think it
Yeah.
would be such an easy and cost-effective move for Disney for new movies to come out, and then just to have a promo card to go along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it back in the day with I think it was
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Pokemon the
Pokemon
movie.
2000, where we had the Mew card come out, right?
Well, okay. So the first movie did 4 promos. There were the Electabuzz, the Mewtwo, Dragonite, and there's another one. There's 4. And
Okay.
then if you bought the VHS, you got another one like a Mewtwo. I forget what the Mew was for. Chat knows. But I forget
But
what
you
the Mew was for.
So yeah, Pokemon did that, but Yu-Gi-Oh also did it. Where when they
Okay.
had their movie come out in theaters, they had it was like a 3, there were 3 cards that you could only get by going to see the movie. And it was random which one you got when you would go, because it was like a little pack. It would be so easy for
Yeah.
Disney to do that.
Yeah. I think I mean, it costs a lot of money, but it seems to me like it's a great way to advertise.
I mean, look, like, so it costs a lot of money to print like the singular cards, right? But then how much do you make back on people that want to spend $7-8 on a pack, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, let's say 50% of people that get that free promo card go out and, say they're at Walmart, Target, whatever, and they see an old set of Lorcana. Hey, you know what? I have this. Let's see what this is about, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
the overhead's got to be so much more, right?
it's also like one of the things that Disney does so well is all of their different like businesses within the big business like all interconnect and help each other. So cruise lines and TV shows and movies and parks, all of these things interact. Video games to bring you in to like reinforce each other. And so this is a scenario where I'm willing to bet there's a lot of Lorcana fans who went to see Moana 2 just because just because the promo card was there or like it pushed them over the edge to go to the theaters. So not only do you get Disney fans exposed to the game, you also get Lorcana fans going to the movie, especially if there's like more than one promo card. Because then you bring a friend, right? Yeah.
And then you
You're like,
roll the
hey,
dice to see if you get different ones or the same one.
yeah, all right. And then you bring the whole family. Like somebody's gonna get the Nick Wilde.
And then you find the other people who brought 2 or 3 friends and they got similars, and then you trade with them, and then it already starts there.
Yeah. Mixed Marker saying finally here to watch the live show instead of watching the next day. Yeah, and here you have a comment highlighted. Like that's what you get. Thanks for being here. Just near the live, have you discussed the last DLC bubble for Top Cut? This is a tough. We have not discussed this. This is probably a topic to dive into for next week, prior to Milwaukee.
So, do you want to like touch on it? Do you want this to be like our closing touch on?
There's also another spicy topic that came from Facebook. And there's only like, whenever Facebook comments, like, good on you, the one person on Facebook, out there, Joey, I think. Thanks for being here. It's a spicy topic though about scouting and soft cheating, and I don't know, maybe get into that to a later time, but we can touch on this to kind of get us near the closeout.
Okay. So I'm trying to find it. I need the pricing for Bologna. What did top 32 get? Because I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we pause while we look up the Bologna issues.
Yeah, I need to find. I need to find the. One moment.
Yeah, one moment, please. Yeah, I know. I know Top 64 Bubble even got tickets as a compensation. Is that true last year? That the people outside the bubble got tickets for not if they bubbled out.
As far as I know, no. The only time there was like significant compensation, I think it was in Toronto when Sarek hit the threshold for Let It Go, and he was the last one in that thing. So everybody who had his record also got to Let It Go.
Yeah.
That's the only one
because they would have given out like one Let It Go beyond the top cut. Yeah. So yeah, this is a good point. Yeah. So the Let It Go. So Let It Go functionally served that purpose last year. And yeah, without it, yeah, there's nothing there. This is a tough topic because there's all sorts of things at play here. I mean, to me, is it a this is a tough topic for me to muse on without really like chewing on it for a little bit and deep diving it. I'm interested in your thoughts, Logan. But the thing is, yeah, okay. So we're looking at top 64, get a foil Simba, Pride Protector. Top 32, foil Elsa. So top 64 do get the foil Simba, but if you bubble 64 like it's 65.
I need to know at what point Continental's invites happened.
Last year or this
No.
time?
This year.
Yeah, should be top 8.
No, it was before top 32 Continental invite. Okay, so that's an easy. So I think because Pokemon had a pretty similar issue with this as well. I'm personally of the opinion that when you have the same record as the people who made top 32, you should be eligible for that top cut, because melee math doesn't change the fact that over the course of a very difficult and long day and very hard format that we're playing in, you had the same record. As someone who has historically always been at the end of the bubble, I mean, at a Charlie's Collectible show, I went 7-1-1, didn't make top cut, bubbled out. I mean, I had the same record as the people who made it, right? Like, the only thing that separated me from them was tiebreakers throughout the day. Again, Pokemon had this similar kind of thing happen where they had people with top cut, cutting edge, performances and events, and the only thing that was keeping them out of contention for being in the conversation of who was the best on the day was breaker math. And you can't change breaker math. That's the luck of the day. If you had the record to make top cut, I feel like you should be in the conversation, and they should the cutoff shouldn't be this amount of people. The cutoff should be, did you make this record? I think that's a better indication of what the people of the skill level were at. Because again, we try to control as much as we can in card games through variants, through how we build our decks, everything. And that's just another portion of the game that you cannot control, that tournament organizers can control. You can control who makes top cut by record, not by points. And I'm always of the opinion that the record matters more than the breaker math.
I don't disagree with you. I think for me to fully endorse that, I would need to know like how many bubbled out.
6.
Was it 6? Oh, that's
Yep.
low. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, 6 people out of 2,000 bubbled.
That's tough. Yeah, that's tough to be one of those 6. I think again, I said I wanted to chew this over because there are implications on that, but I think that I agree with you. If that's the number that we can expect to see at 10-2, and we should know mathematically, right? Like how many we should see there. We can do it's tournament math. We can predict. And
realistically, yeah.
Realistically, like we know.
So we knew going into Bologna that 10-2 would be a bubble. We knew that.
Yep. Okay. And 10-2 will functionally only be about,
it will be less than 10.
Less than 10 people. Yeah. I mean, that feels like...
So, and let me preface this. I think for an event of this magnitude, that's a really, really hard cutoff.
So,
and again, I think that's why the record matters more than a hard cutoff of amount of people.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have X amount of people that are even in the running to be able to make this record that's already insanely hard. And I'm not saying that everybody who makes this record gets a Continentals invite. I think everybody that makes this record gets to move on to the single elimination bracket. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, to be honest, I can see it going either way. I can see you adding another, because in EU Continentals, for example, you have a handful of invites going out for the CCQs, and then you have 32 each from 3 different challenges. I know you're probably targeting like 128 people, but I think you could easily you know, add in another 20 folks to make that field right with invites. And you could also, pull those bubbles into into the top cut somehow. Um, also the trade-off here was, we cut to 64 last year. This year we added more rounds to Swiss, and then we got the 32 cut instead of the 64. You could keep the invites the same. You could lose a round, go to 64, and but I don't know that feels much better. So I don't know.
I don't know that you need to change. I don't know that you need to change the current tournament structure as they've set it. Like I said, just don't have a hard cutoff of only 32 people make it or only 64 make it. I think it should be if you're 10-2, you're there. And then you get to the single elimination bracket. I think that should be the cutoff.
Yeah.
I think and I don't want to say mistake because that feels like such a harsh word. I think the learning process we're going to have is it really this is already a really, really hard format. These are already astronomically hard odds to go against right now in this current meta to make this record. It's very, very difficult. Even people who are we saw top 32 in Bologna. How many known players were in top 32? I think it was literally Tiago and off the top of my head, I just can't think of anybody else. But people like Zach Bivens, DKP, Zan Syed, Moyen, Harlan Sweet. They just didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very hard format. This is a very difficult ask to have. And for people to those 6 people who were 10-2, I was as good as those people today. The only difference was they had breakers that were higher than me. And that's something I can't control.
Yeah. It's interesting. I do, I will, for me, I will leave it at, I agree that, the way it broke down in Bologna, and I'm sure it will be this way because you can do tournament math with this number of rounds. I'm sure it'll be a similar number of people who bubble out. If 32 get the invite and less than 10 bubble out, it does feel really bad after that many rounds of Swiss in that tournament environment. And I don't know what the solution is, but I think you proposed at least one good one. But it does seem like, it does feel to me like if you addressed it somehow, I wouldn't be sad about it, even if you just increase the field a little bit.
Yeah. So am I saying that, everybody who does that gets an automatic Continentals? I don't know. Open it up past. Am I saying am I saying it's a bad solution? No. Am I saying it's the right solution? No. But what I am saying is open it up. Top 32 feels so hard. You can set top 32 as the benchmark to make the Continentals invite, but make the single elimination portion wider.
We'd have to go 64 and add a round.
What was it? What was it last? What was day 2?
64.
Only top 64 was day 2 last season.
Yep.
What was? No, Let It Go was. It wasn't day 2, but it was top 128.
Let It Go was it was top 128, or everybody with the same points as top 128.
Okay, but then top 60, yeah. So look, we're at the same amount of people. and we're cutting to top 32. Like, widen it up.
Because you added more Swiss rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like, open it up. Make it realistic that somebody can actually make it to the single elimination portion. I'm not saying everybody that makes it single elimination portion makes it to continentals. I think top 32 continentals invite is a solid um sweet point, because you still have to go further in the single elimination bracket to get to that point.
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you get this record, 10-2 is an insane record. Like, let's just put it out there. Like, 10-2 over this long of an event is, you were playing out of your mind and drawing well. Like, that you just were.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's your day. Like, you have to
like,
have luck.
that is objectively your day,
It's
and
your
the
day.
only thing stopping those 6 people from possibly winning the event was breaker math, and you can't influence that. You just can't. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at DLC Toronto. I'm sure this happened more often than not. I mean, the first seed, Jonathan Lamb, loses to the 64th seed, and so yeah, who's to say that any one of those top 32 players would make it over the 6 that bubbled out? But I think the problem with adding around is you have to go 64 to keep it even. Otherwise, you have buys or you have something wonky happen, which would mean you may have to drop a Swiss round, and so you'd have to look at the math, unless you go later with the event, which is also a possibility. But adding a whole other round for top 64 is also a challenge. So I don't know, but certainly I think there are things worth exploring. What I will say at the very, very least, the nice thing is what should happen is those people on the bubble, and we saw this happen with Zach Bivens in season 1. Those people on the bubble in Europe, those 6, should be the top people to get pass downs.
Yes,
when somebody qualifies a different way.
I
So
agree.
some of these players will go on to qualify for another top 32. And maybe just be a handful, like 1 or 2, or win a CCQ somewhere. But there should be pass downs, or people don't come or whatever. And so at the very least, there should be some of those people making it in that way if there's no other fix.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm just, I just want to highlight, as somebody who's been in that position, there's like, I've done all I can do. Like, this was outside of my breakers. Like, this felt like my day. And then, like, you just get to the end and it's like, well, but that to the umpteenth degree, because it's a DLC. Like, this is it. This is what anybody who's competing, like, these are our Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Throughout the season. And to get there and like, no, this was my day. And the only thing that separated me from the guy who potentially won the event was a few points in breakers. Like, that's just, it's such a feels bad moment. Because I mean, I'm just going to reiterate again, going 10-2 over the course of a long tournament is an insane run. Like, it is such a good run, like something to be amazingly proud of. But like, bubbling out would just, I mean, like, just a heartbreaker, man. Talk beyond heartbreaker.
Yep. Yep. It's tough. But I do think that's something that can be explored. But anyway, yeah, maybe this is a video. Maybe we do a video on this. I don't know. All right. Well, we should start wrapping up. That was a fun, meaty topic to end the show with. Yeah. So this is what it's like when we don't bring on guests, and we just respond to your questions all show and just like muse. So I hope. Thanks everybody for throwing us the questions. If we didn't get to yours, I apologize. Chris, who signed off earlier, we were going to answer a question about what to expect in your first DLC. We didn't get to it. Maybe that's another video topic, or maybe we address that next week. But nevertheless, before I ask Logan what you've got coming up for the week and how people can follow you and all that, couple notes from my end. One, as always, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for the questions. And thanks to the 2 people who followed during the show. Look, I, for the first time, became a real Twitcher, and actually like did some stuff on there. And now like it does the real like dopamine hit inducing bling ding thing when somebody follows. And I feel like a real boy. Um, so throughout the show, I heard two like that. See, it did the thing. Did you all hear that? Somebody else do it.
I heard it. He's like, he's not coaxing chat.
No,
Please
it's
make
not.
another noise for me.
Yeah, it was so
Dance, my puppets.
yeah. So like, but I can't like on this restream interface, I can't see the Twitch feed. And so I can't monitor two screens at once or it gets crazy. And then sometimes I do feedback and it's a big thing. So thank you all to whoever followed during the show. Like it was, I heard the chimes going off and it made me, it hit me right in the dopamine, receptors. So yeah, thank you all for following. Yeah, it's because I can't, it cancels echo, you know. So I'm sorry, I hear it. And the people on Twitch hear it. And if you're not watching on Twitch, like go, if you're one of the 164 people watching on Twitter, and Elon Musk wouldn't like me saying this, like pop on over to Twitch and give us a follow over there. So yeah, thanks to all of you. Anyway, where was I going? A couple other fun things. We did release a video this week. Another one. We is this the right slide? Yeah, there it is. So we did. We're trying to cover all the meta decks here on the Lumineers channel prior to Milwaukee. It's going to be a stretch, but we hit Amethyst Steel with Tiago. People really liked it, so we did this week Dogs with SSG Ghosty, who is always running dogs, and yeah. So check it out on our YouTube's channel. Also, I'm looking for some participation in a couple fun projects. One, if you're going to Milwaukee and you haven't sent me a note yet, I'm collecting some like bio data and some information on folks, like just because I want like some of your stories and I want to know if you pop up on stream, like I want to be able to talk about who you are and where you're from and all that. So send me a note. I've got a Google form you can fill out. And if you're really feeling squirrely and want to participate in some Illumineers content, I'm putting together a fun montage, like lip sync video prior to Milwaukee. It's a thing. It's going to be awesome. Just trust me. And if you want to participate, send me a note and we'll get you signed up for a line and you can send it to me by the end of next weekend. Shout out to Fungus, Jeff from Additional Ink, Justin from Big Thunder, Matt from Snapcraster Mage, Alex, Illuminator Fortune, Mark Miller, who's in the chat tonight. All those folks have already signed up. If you want to participate and you're going to, and you have to be going to Milwaukee because it's a whole thing about like being fired up from Milwaukee. So like it wouldn't make sense if you weren't going. So that's part of like the thing. But yeah, send me a note. Oh, and lastly, I always have to say shout out to the Patreon supporters who helped to sponsor the show. It pays for our subscriptions because now I have a Streamlabs subscription in addition to a Restream subscription and other subscriptions. So shout out to all of you who support us on Patreon. Link should be in the show notes. If it's not, I'm sorry, I'll put it there. But I appreciate all of you. Logan, those are all my notes. What do you got going on? How can people follow you? What's coming up? I don't know. What's Maelstrom up to?
Yeah, as usual, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Zinulus. I'm also incredibly active in the Maelstrom Discord, where, I mean, just as we are getting closer to Milwaukee, we're constantly just talking in all of our deck threads, keeping people up to date on changes we're making or how we're feeling about certain lists and certain matchups and things like that. I'm moving to Iowa this week.
Yeah.
Getting packed up and loaded tomorrow. So I'm going to be trying to make a couple of set champs this coming weekend, since I will officially be an Iowa native as of the middle of this week. So if you're in Iowa and are around the Iowa City area, let me know. Let me know what's going on. I just got invited to a couple of Iowa Discords, so I'll be trying to just become connected there. But I'm going to be honest, I've gotten really connected and used to my Pittsburgh community. And I'm also not too far away from the Baltimore community where, Ink and, Garrick and Kurt Spies all live. So not being around them and being within driving distance is going to be a transition. So I need to find a new Lorcana family out in the cornfields. So if you're around there, let me know, because I try to make it a point that anything that's local, that's a reasonable drive, that's a bigger event, be it a set champs, a 1K, a win an enchanted, a win a box or whatever, I try to go to as much as possible to show local store support. and I would like to continue that trend. So if you know of any events or things around there, let me know.
So you heard it. Logan needs to build his Iowa community, or anywhere driving. The geography of like that part of the country escapes me because I'm from New England and now I live in Texas. In New England, there's states like 5 minutes away everywhere, and in Texas, there's states. It's all Texas. So
Yeah,
if
you
you're
can drive.
driving distance from like
You can
Iowa, and
drive 10 hours in Texas and still be in Texas.
right? Yeah, Iowa and Iowa, Iowa,
I don't know. I'm learning.
Iowa,
I'm sure
Iowa,
somebody this week will correct me or let me know.
Iowa. Anyway, yeah. So send Logan an invite, and he will come out to your set champs. And yeah, 6 hours is the next state from Texas. That is 100% true. 100% true. But yeah, thank you all so much for everything. I will see you back here next week. Oh, last few things. Don't forget the Lorecast tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific, 9:30. They're going live, hyping 10 o'clock, I think, Pacific time. You get announcements. So make sure you check it out. There's probably going to be some awesome stuff. And then tomorrow night, if you aren't blown away by the news, and if you're recovered enough to take in more Lorcana content, don't forget the ICL is tomorrow night. Great content over there on Wonderland's channel, where you can see two amazing Lorcana teams go at it with some top-notch casting. Yeah, so check out the ICL on Twitch if you haven't already. All right.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, so Monday here, Tuesday and Wednesday at the ICL. And once the ICL finishes, you hop onto Enchanted Chatter and watch some of their podcast on Wednesday nights. There's just all sorts of Lorcana content to consume. Yeah. Last comment. There's a place in Texas closer to a place in Montana than any other place in Texas. I don't doubt that at all. Texas is ridiculous. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Thank you all. We'll see. Any closing thoughts, Logan? Did we get everything?
I think we hit everything. I think
all right.
We have a lot coming up. Milwaukee is right around the corner. Set champ season in full swing. Also, as a reminder, I mean, just because we said it again last week, if you are in a set champs and you see something that's just a hilarious board state, I think you had a picture like this. If you see a hilarious board state or something that you're like, man, this could only happen at set champs, take a picture of it. Let us know. There are all kinds of wacky things that surface at set champs, and they deserve to be highlighted.
Yep. 100%. This was a fun picture. This came in this week in our Discord server. In the Illumineers Discord server. This was sent over by hold on. Because I want to make sure they get credit. Yeah, let's go this week. From I'm trying to it's literally Z ... is the name. I was trying to find out what the Z expanded to, but that's it. Yeah, so this came in this week. If you find fun stuff like this, save it, because yeah, send it to us. We like to show it. This is your comedy for the week. So there you go. All right. See y'all